What's going on, everybody, and welcome back once again to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be finishing up my top 5 of every position heading into the 2022 NFL season. Today's video, I'm going to be doing safeties. Now, this includes free safeties and strong safeties. If you don't know the difference, usually strong safeties are players who are a little bit more versatile, who can line up in the slot almost like as if they're a corner, while free safeties are more your traditional safety, playing deep in coverage most of the time, and usually are more of the hard-hitting kind of a safety. So, without further ado, let's begin. Coming in at number 5, I have Devin McCourty, who will be entering his 13th year in the league and his 13th season with the New England Patriots. Now, whenever there's a player who lasts 13 years on a Bill Belichick team, it means it means they're doing two things. They're really good and they're just really dedicated, because we all know Bill Belichick is not hesitant and he is super quick to cut players, no matter how personal or emotional it may be. And Devin McCourty has been there since 2010, and it's not because out of the kindness of Bill Belichick's heart. It's because Devin McCourty gets the job done, and he's still playing at a high level. Last season, he caught 3 interceptions, only had 60 total combined tackles, but quarterbacks throwing in his direction had a 17.6 passer rating when throwing in his direction, which is just insane. Devin McCourty, I believe, is still at the top of the game, and he is the captain of that Patriots defense still. Coming in at number 4, I have Kevin Byard of the Tennessee Titans. Kevin Byard has kept working his way up throughout his career. Kevin Byard, the strong safety, is a strong safety, and season he forced 2 fumbles and had 5 interceptions in total. He obviously went to the Pro Bowl last year. He was a first-team All-Pro. He had 88 combined tackles, and quarterbacks throwing in his direction last season had a 68.7 passer rating, but had way more targets in his direction at the safety position. Now, you got to remember, safeties get less targets in their way than corners, because they're more lined up at the back end. But Kevin Byard, one of the most ball hawking, best ball hawkers in the NFL, and very dangerous to throw his way. Coming in at number 3, I have Micah Hyde of the Buffalo Bills. Micah Hyde might be the captain of that secondary. That team has a lot of good players in that secondary. Micah Hyde might be the best of them all. Micah Hyde did not make it to the Pro Bowl last year, surprisingly, despite having 5 interceptions, a forced fumble, 74 combined tackles, a sack for good measure, and quarterbacks throwing in his direction only had a 72.8 passer rating. Micah Hyde, he was on the Packers to start his career, but ever since he's come to Buffalo, he's taken an elite step forward as one of the top safeties in the NFL, and it's continuing heading into 2022. Coming in at number 2, I have Tyrique Matthews, who just switched to the New Orleans Saints, signed with the New Orleans Saints earlier this offseason. He's been with the Chiefs over the last few years. He had a little bit of a slower year last year, but in 2019 and in 2020, he was no doubt the best safety in the NFL. In 2019, he was one of the big reasons for that Chiefs defense turnaround, and in 2020, he also played big. Last year, he missed about a game and a half. He had 3 interceptions, no forced fumbles, 76 combined tackles, and quarterbacks throwing in his direction last year actually had somewhat of a high passer rating. But I feel like last year it was just an off year for him. I still think that this guy is the full package when it comes to safety. Sure, he can be a harder hitting safety, but I feel like New Orleans is going to be a perfect fit for him, and he's going to be a good replacement for the Saints losing Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams. But I have him losing his number 1 spot because he did have a little bit of a setback year last year. And then coming in at number 1, I have Duron James of the Los Angeles Chargers, who up until last season's complete bad luck in the NFL because of all the injuries, His first 2 seasons, he had only played 21 games combined. And then this past season, he finally got it all together, played 15 games out of the 17 games. He had 118 total tackles as a freaking safety, free safety. And he plays both, really. He is a strong safety and a free safety in a sense. He had 7 tackles for losses. He had a couple of sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. And quarterbacks throwing in his direction had a 63.7 rating. And he was targeted 60 times, which is a lot. Duron James, I feel like, is another guy who is the full package, even more so than Tyrique Matthews, because of how versatile he is, yet how hard-hitting he is, and he's just great in coverage, and he can even get after the quarterback on certain blitzes, and not every safety can do that. Plus, he's younger than Tyrique Matthews. He's going to only be entering his 4th year. Now, with these safety, that's my top 5, but I'm okay with having any of the guys I just mentioned as the top safety in football. I think all 5 of them are very close to each other. I don't think there's a clear-cut number 1, unlike cornerback. Even though I feel like the cornerback rankings are kind of jumbled as well and mixed, this one I feel like number 1 is in question too. I think you can ask 10 random NFL fans, and I think that you may get a different answer from 7 or 8 of them because of just how many different opinions there is out there. And I think it's somewhat subjective to say who's the best because they all are good at different things. But this is my ranking from when I broke it down and looked at it. So comment down below what you guys think about this, and I'm going to keep the content coming. So other than that, I'll see you guys next time.